Okay, our next function is the sumif function. Now, the sumif function is kind of like the more powerful big brother of the countif function. It has one extra variable that you use, and that variable gives you the ability to actually do a summation or add up specific information. So whereas when we did the countif function, we could go through and, for example, in that same data set, go through, and now let me zoom in for you just a little bit here. In that same data set, we went through and would count the number of homeowners in this data set of homes. Well, now instead of counting the number of home policy types, auto or boat, instead of counting them, we're going to add up the number of specific homeowner policy types versus auto policy types versus boat policy types. So that's really the power of the sumif function. So similar to the countif function, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in and we'll say, let's do this by zip code. So we'll say the 46208 policy type. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to use that sumif function to evaluate which policies are from 46208, and it's going to add up each of those particular values. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at what the sumif function does. So I'm going to start by just typing sumif. When I do that, I hit tab to advance and start writing the function, and I see that I have the same two variables as you used with countif, with the third variable that is a must-have for sumif, which is the summary range. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to select our range, and the range is going to be the zip codes. The range is the area that we're evaluating. We're going to hit comma to advance to the next variable in this particular function. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select zip code. That zip code up here is going to be the criteria that you use to actually filter the information for what you want. So it's going to select the 46208. Now, a word. We are referencing that 46208, which gives us much more power in this situation, because if we decide that we want something that's not 46208, all we have to do is change that to something else like 46411. If you wanted to hard code it, you could. You would just need to place that number in double quotation marks. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plug in that sum range. Okay, we're going to jump over here and select that sum range. We're going to close this off, and there you have it. The value of all of 46208 is that 1450. Now here's the power that we talked about, and we changed that to 46411. $2,090 is now your option. If we change that to 46207, $560 is your value. So there you have it, my friends. Sumif. All the same rules that apply to countif also apply to sumif. We'll see you back next with a little bit of if statements.